Ever wished you could trade lives with a princess? Well, uh, get ready to rethink that fantasy because today we're diving into the story of Sophia Dorothea of Celle, a 17th century royal whose life, well, is anything but a fairy tale.
Yeah, it's a story that really gets you thinking. Behind all those fancy tiaras and palaces, there are real people dealing with real emotions, love, betrayal, all those things.
And you'll find that Sophia Dorothea's story, well, it's got more drama than a soap opera. Secret love letters, a marriage for political power, and even a mysterious death, still unsolved to this day.
A real life thriller, yeah. It gives us a look into the lives of the European elite and what it was like to be a woman, even one born with the silver spoon back then.
So let's set the scene. Sophia Dorothea, she was the only child of the Duke and Duchess of Celle. And unlike a lot of royal couples back then, these two, they were actually, head over heels in love.
Totally.
They adored their daughter, gave her all the love and luxury in the world.
It's almost ironic, isn't it, when you think about what her future held? I mean, she had this loving, pretty carefree life, and then she gets thrust into this world where, well, where her own happiness doesn't really matter.
It's that classic story of duty versus desire, a theme that's, well, it's pretty universal, right? It still gets to us today.
Absolutely. And to really understand Sophia Dorothea's story, you have to look at the whole political landscape of 17th century Europe. The power was always shifting, alliances made and broken, and marriages, they were like moves in a big game of chess,
Yeah.
a very high stakes game.
And that leads us to the event that changed Sophia Dorothea's life forever, her arranged marriage to her cousin, George Louis, heir to Hanover.
Right. And this marriage, it wasn't about love, not at all. It was about power, pure and simple. You see, their families, they'd been feuding for years over land, inheritance, the whole shebang.
Talk about family drama.
Oh, yeah. But this marriage, it was supposed to end the feud and make the House of Hanover even stronger in the Holy Roman Empire.
But what about Sophia Dorothea's feelings? I mean, being forced to marry your own cousin to settle a family squabble, that's got to be tough.
Her reaction says it all, really. When they gave her the engagement gift, all jewels and fancy, she threw it across the room. A total fit of despair. Can you imagine?
Wow. That's a pretty strong statement.
Right. It shows you the clash of personalities we're dealing with here. You've got Sophia Dorothea, full of life, free spirit, used to doing things her way. And then you've got George Louis, the dutiful soldier, all about duty and tradition. It was a recipe for disaster from the start.
It must felt like she was taken from this idyllic world and just dropped into some completely foreign place.
Exactly. Life at the court of Hanover, well, it was modeled after Versailles. It was all about showing off wealth, rigid etiquette, and everyone trying to get ahead. Imagine how that must have felt for someone like Sophia Dorothea.
Talk about culture shock.
Totally. It was like a gilded cage, all this luxury, but she was totally stifled by the formality and all the rules.
Yeah.
The sources really paint this picture of her struggling to fit in. She felt isolated and more disillusioned with her new life.
And while she had two children, which I'm sure brought her some happiness and maybe even a connection with George Louis, their relationship was still strained.
Oh, definitely. And it didn't help that George Louis was often away on military campaigns. And, well, let's just say he wasn't exactly known for being faithful.
Oh, right. Enter the infamous Countess Clara von Platen, George Louis' mistress. Not only was she, having this affair very publicly, but some say she played a big role in Sophia Dorothea's downfall.
It's important to think about what was motivating everyone. Countess von Platen, she was powerful at court, and she definitely had her reasons for wanting Sophia Dorothea out of the picture. It's a reminder that history's never simple. Even people who seem unimportant can have a big impact.
So we have a lonely princess, a loveless marriage, a powerful rival, and a court full of schemers. And what happens next is, well, it's straight out of a romance novel. Enter Count Philip von Königsmarck. Oh man, it's like all the pieces are in place, right?
Yeah.
It's lonely princess, the cold husband who's always off with someone else, is a scheming mistress, and then bam, this dashing Swedish count shows up. It's like something out of a movie.
It definitely adds to the drama. Count Philip von Königsmarck, he was, well, everyone knew him. He was charming, and he wasn't exactly known for following the rules. Actually, he and Sophia Dorothea, they knew each other when they were kids. But, life took them in different directions. Then, years later, boom, they run into each other at a festival. And, well, their shared love for life and I guess their dislike of all those stuffy court rules, it brought them back together. And that connection, it quickly became, well, pretty intense, let's say.
Yeah, and the sources, they actually include some of their love letters. And wow, they're really something. You can just feel their longing and how frustrated they were with their lives and their love for each other. Just it jumps off the page, you know. It's amazing to read those firsthand accounts.
There's one line that always gets to me. It's from a letter Sophia Dorothea wrote to Königsmark. She says, "If you but knew how intense is my love, you would pity me." I mean, that just tells you everything about what she was going through.
Yeah, it's so sad, you know, to think she was trapped in this life she didn't want, and all she wanted was to be with this man she loved.
And don't forget, their affair, it was really dangerous, not just for them personally, but for everyone. Remember, Hanover was a big deal now. It had become an electorate of the Holy Roman Empire. So everything they did, it was under a microscope. And if this got out, it could have brought the whole Hanoverian dynasty down.
Wow. So it was more than just a love affair, huh? It was like a threat to the whole country.
Exactly. And Königsmark's enemies at court, they saw this as their chance to get rid of him. So he was sent away to the battlefield, exiled. And that left Sophia Dorothea, well, heartbroken and even more alone.
So, I mean, what was she supposed to do at that point? Her lover is gone. She's stuck in this awful marriage, and everyone's just waiting for her to, I don't know, mess up, I guess.
Well, she makes a pretty bold decision. She decides to run away with Königsmark, to escape, to find some happiness somewhere else.
That takes guts. But running away, it's not exactly easy, is it? Especially back then.
Oh, no, not at all. They needed money. And remember, she didn't have any control over her own finances. That's the thing about those royal marriage contracts. They were all about power and money, not about what people actually wanted.
Right. And that brings us to July 1694, a night that changed everything. Königsmark, he disguised himself as a laborer and went to meet Sophia Dorothea at the palace. Probably to put the finishing touches on their escape plan, I guess.
But, and here's where things get really murky, he was attacked and killed. And to this day, no one knows exactly what happened, who ordered it. I mean, was it someone who just, snapped? Or was it like a planned assassination? It's a real mystery.
It's like everyone had a reason to want him gone, right? George Louis was furious about the whole affair, and Countess von Platen, well, she wanted Sophia Dorothea out of the picture.
Yeah.
And who knows who else at court had it out for Königsmark. It's like trying to untangle a really messed up knot.
Yeah. And the mystery just grew over time. In 2016, they were doing some work at the palace and found a bunch of bones. At first, they thought, hey, maybe this is Königsmark. It would have been incredible, right? To finally solve this mystery after all these years.
Yeah, that would have been huge.
But it turned out the bones, they weren't his. They were from different people and from way before Königsmark's time. So the mystery continues.
So he basically just disappeared, huh? Leaving everyone to wonder what really happened. But what about Sophia Dorothea? Did she know about the escape plan? Or was she, just a pawn in all of this?
Well, after Königsmark vanished, her fate was sealed.
What happened to her? I mean, after that night.
Oh, she was accused of everything. Treason, adultery, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I bet the rumors were flying around the court like crazy.
Absolutely. It was a huge scandal. It threatened everything the Hanovers had built. So she was divorced, publicly, and then imprisoned in Halden Castle, back in her father's lands and cell.
Sent back, huh? Back to where she tried to get away from. That's got to be rough.
It really makes you think, about how much control she really had. She wasn't just banished. She was prisoner. Very few visitors. They kept her kids away from her. It was like they wanted to crush her.
And her mom, I mean, she tried to get her out, right? But even she couldn't make it happen.
Yeah. The Hanovers, they couldn't risk it, They couldn't have Sophia Dorothea out there maybe challenging them, especially with all their ambitions. Don't forget, they had their eyes on the English throne. This whole thing, this scandal, it could ruin everything for them.
So basically, they silenced her to protect themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. And as the years went by, you read the sources, and it's like watching her light go out. The Sophia Dorothea we saw before, the one who threw that engagement gift, she kind of disappeared.
Man, that's just sad. To think of what could have been if she had lived in a different time.
Yeah.
When women had more choices, more freedom.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if she had been able to make her own decisions, follow her heart? I mean, her story really makes you think about how women have been treated throughout history and the sacrifices they've had to make.
And then even when she died, it wasn't peaceful. In 1726, she passed away. And it was quiet, no fanfare, nothing. Not what you'd expect for a princess, right?
Nope. The Hanovers, they might have tried to erase her, pretend she never existed, but, well, her story is still here. It's a good reminder that history, it's not just about kings and queens and wars, it's about real people with their own hopes and dreams.
And George Louis, what happened to him?
He got what he wanted, became King George the First of England. But he couldn't escape the past. The whispers about the affair, the mystery surrounding Königsmarck's death, what happened to Sophia Dorothea, it all followed him.
So even with all that power, all that success, it sounds like he still paid a price, huh?
I think so. It tells you something about, well, about the truth and about how complicated people are. He might have been king, but was he truly happy? I don't know.
Wow. This one woman's story, and look at everything it reveals about the politics, the society, the whole world back then. What do you think is the most important thing we can learn from Sophia Dorothea?
That history isn't always so simple. We can't just take things at face value. We have to look closer, to hear the voices of the people who weren't always heard. Sophia Dorothea, yeah, she was a princess, but she was also a woman who got caught in the gears of history, a woman who wanted to be free. And that's something worth remembering.
Yeah, I agree. Makes you think about all the stories that are still out there, just waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. And as we keep digging into the past, we have to remember that we're not just uncovering facts. We're connecting with real people with their own stories to tell.
Well said. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the life of Sophia Dorothea of Celle. It's been quite a journey, right? Unraveling the mysteries, the love, the betrayal. History is a conversation, and we encourage you to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep looking for the truth.